Hello viewers, yes, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching, yes, it's mine as well as your channel. So I've been getting countless requests for advice to youth, and many of you have said, ma'am, please do it fast, our half yearly exams are close by. So yes, paying heed to your request, here I am. But before I start, you know what I am asking for. If you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do. And don't forget to press the like button once you have watched the whole video. And I'm sure you'll like it. So, what are we waiting for? Let's start. So, yes, advice to youth. So you are aware of the author. The author is Mark Twain. But do you know what his original name is? Mark Twain is his pen name or pseudonym. He wrote under this name. But his real name is Samuel Langhorne Clemens. So there are many people who write under pseudonym, and they don't, initially maybe they don't want to be known. When they write something, it's very easy to write under a different name. So he wrote this. So his original name and the name which he adopted while writing his stories is really different. And I'm sure many of you must have read in your childhood the Adventures of Tom Sawyer or Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in your junior classes. Yeah, so these are written by Mark Twain only. He has a typical sense of humor. And here in his essay, Advice to Youth also, you will find that subtle humor. So while he is giving advice, his advice is not boring. Normally what do we see? That the advice given by these men of literature are many times boring. But he uses his humor. He is a humorist. And he uses his humor to make his lecture interesting to the youth, so that it is very surprising to the youth that they find such an interesting piece as an advice. So, being told I would be expected to talk here, I inquired what sort of talk I ought to make. So yes, he had been told by the organizers that you will have to talk here. You have to give the youth some advice, some guidelines, which will help them in their future, in their way of life. So he said, what am I to speak on? So what did the organizers tell him? They said it should be something suitable to you. Yeah, something which would help them in their path of life. Something didactic. Didactic means a story with a moral or a teaching you a lesson. A story which teaches a lesson or a moral, we call it a didactic story. Instructive, or something that is in the nature of good advice. So yes, this is the criterion. You have to talk in these topics. I mean, these should be the guideline of your lecture. Very well. I have a few things in my mind which I have often longed to say for the instruction of the youth. So he agrees, okay, no problem, very well. And yes, in my mind I have some things I have wanted to say them for a long time to the young people. For it is in one's tender early years that such things will best take root and be most enduring and most valuable. First then, I will say to you, my young friends, and I say it beseechingly and urgingly. So he says, yes, youth is the time, youth is the best time to put certain ideas in the mind. That is the time. Young people are like clay, and that you can mold them as you wish. And society also, they mold them according to their expectations. So Mark Twain says, yes, this is the best time. Youth, during youth the mind is tender, and naturally what you want to tell them, it will get imprinted in their minds. will take root and be most enduring and most valuable. And then he starts talking to his young friends in an imploring or requesting manner, and also urges them to listen to him, which is the first advice he gives. He has a very typical habit of he knows how to make his lecture interesting. So first thing he tells, obey your parents. But what does he add next to it? When they are present. That means, yes, when they are present, obey your parents. It can also mean when they are not present, you don't need to obey them so much. This is the best policy in the long run, because if you don't, they will make you. Why is it the best policy in the long run? Because if you refuse to listen to your parents, they will force you to do. They are your parents. They provide you with the money and education and everything. So if you don't listen to them, they will force you to listen. So what is best is, okay, so long as they are in front of you, they are present. Listen to whatever they tell you. Behind their back you can do whatever you wish, but in front of them at least be obedient. Because if you are not obedient, then they will force you to be obedient. Most parents think they know better than you do. And you can generally make more by humoring that superstition. Just see the word he uses, superstition. Than you can by acting on your own better judgment. Yeah, if you think your judgment is better than your parents, don't ever show it before them. Rather humor them. Yes, you are the boss. Whatever you say is correct. Whatever you say is right, and I will follow it. So you will be in a better situation than if you say, oh, y'all don't understand, y'all belong to the past generation, things have changed, papa, things have changed, mama. They won't listen, they will force you. Why? Because they are your parents. So humor them. Why? Because they believe this superstition. He says superstition, that they know better. So humor them. Oh yes, of course you know better, you are our guardians, you are our God on earth. Yeah, and humor them. You will be benefited. They will think, what good children I am. So naturally, whenever you ask for something also, they might feel, oh, he deserves it, and they will give it. So who is the benefiter? You benefit by humoring them, by listening to them in front of them. So yes, very nicely, when they are present. Among friends, when they are not present, you can go your own way. No, this is just a joke. He jokes, don't take them seriously. Be respectful, another funny one. Yes, this is a very right thing he says. Be respectful towards your superiors. But what does he say after this? If you have any, yeah, so if you are the most superior, no problem. But if you have superiors who are your seniors or your boss or someone, also to strangers and sometimes to others, what should you be? Respectful. Towards whom? Towards your superiors, towards strangers, and sometimes to others. If a person offends you and you are in doubt as to whether it was intentional or not, do not resort to extreme measures. Simply watch your chance and hit him with a brick. What a nice idea. So someone offends you. You are doubtful, you are not sure. Did he offend me intentionally? Was his offense intentional, or it was just by chance? So don't react immediately. Oh, why did you offend me? And go and no. Don't react immediately. What does he suggest? Mark Twain suggests that wait for your chance and then give him, settle score with him, give him what he deserves. Pay him in full. If he has given you 1 anna, give him 1 anna back. But don't do it immediately. So wait for your chance and then give him in the same coin. That will be sufficient. If you shall find that he had not intended any offense, come out frankly and confess yourself in the wrong when you struck him. And then when you come to know Why did you hit me? Because you had hit me earlier. But that was not intentional. I had not intended to do it. It was an accident. Oh my God, I am so sorry. I should not have hurt you. I am sorry for having hurt you. I thought it was intentional, so I hurt you. This is what he is suggesting. Do this. Yes, always avoid violence. Don't be violent. He goes against violence. In this age of charity and kindliness, the time has gone by for such things. Yes, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. This is not the age. This is an age of charity, kindness. Leave dynamite to the low and unrefined. Yes, violence, dynamite, violence and all these should be left for the lower class people or for the uncultured people, unrefined, uncivilized people. Leave violence to them. You are cultured people. Then another advice he gives. First one was obey your parents. Second is about respectful towards strangers, superiors and sometimes to others. And the next advice, go to bed, get up early. Here also, go to bed early, get up early. So you all have heard this many times. Early to bed and early to rise makes a person healthy, wealthy and wise. So this is similar. Moral is the same. Go to bed early, get up early. This is wise, healthy, wealthy and wise. But he always adds something after the advice. Some authorities say get up with the sun. Yes, many times parents or your teachers also might suggest get up in the morning with the sunrise. When the sun rises, that is the perfect time to get up. Do you all get up in the morning at that time? No, I don't. I am a late person. You all must be, you all many times have commented that ma'am, your videos, you post them in the middle of the night, so you are still awake. So that is what I do in the night. So naturally it's impossible for me to get up in the morning, early in the morning. I get up a bit late. I stay in bed so long as I at least get 5 hours sleep and then I get up. So anyway, nothing personal. Some authorities say get up with the sun. That means during sunrise. Some say get up with one thing, others with another. Some say get up with the birds when the birds start chirping or whatever. Different people talk about different things, but they all suggest that get up early in the morning. But a lark is the best thing to get up with, and many people suggest get up with the lark. Lark must be a very early riser. But here also the author says something very funny. It gives you a splendid reputation with everybody to know that you get up with the lark. So if you say I get up with the lark, people will say, oh, what a disciplined person he is. He gets up with the lark, what an early riser. But what does he suggest? He suggests that if you get a lark is a small bird and it sings sweetly. So he says you get a lark in your home and train it to get up at 9:30. And then you can get up at 9:30, the lark will wake you up at 9:30, and then you can, without telling a lie, you can always say I get up with the lark. So when you say I get up with the lark, people will think that, oh my God, what a disciplined person. But no, the case is not so. You are not getting early. There is half truth in it. You are not getting up early as the lark, but you have made the lark get up late. So you have reversed the table. So the lark has become a late riser and you rise with, and you also get up with the lark. You can easily train him to get up at 9:30 every time. It's no trick at all, no. So every time every day he gets up at 9:30, the lark gets up, and you can also get up at the same time and still say that I get up with the lark. But people will not understand this. So you are not lying. Again another thing. So this follows lying. Now as to the matter of lying, what does he suggest? You want to be very careful about lying. That means you should be very careful about lying. Why? Otherwise you are nearly sure to get caught. So if you are not careful about lying, you will be caught. Many times people say, no, you can't even lie properly. So lying is an art. Like letter writing is an art. Many years ago Carlyle had said Here Mark Twain says that lying is an art. That means not many people know how to tell a perfect lie so that people will consider it to be as an oracle, the voice of God. You have to lie in such a way. Once caught, you can never again be in the eyes to the good and the pure what you were before. So suppose you enjoy a good reputation, you enjoy a reputation of being a good and a pure person, but if you lie and you get caught, you won't enjoy the same reputation again. People will not trust you, they will doubt you. Oh, he has lied once, so yes, it means he can again lie. So that good reputation which you enjoyed earlier, you wouldn't ever be able to get it back. So how should you lie? He tells that many a young person has injured himself permanently through a single clumsy and ill-finished lie. Yeah, many people have lost their reputation. Injured himself permanently means lost their reputation. How? By telling a lie which was not a neat lie, a clumsy lie, and not properly finished, not properly presented. And what is the reason for it? The result of carelessness born of incomplete training. Since you have not got complete training in how to lie, or since you have not considered lying as an art, you have presented a clumsy lie, and that is responsible for the loss of reputation which you face. Some authorities hold that the young ought not to lie at all. So yes, authorities, maybe the parents or the teachers or someone in authoritative position tells no, young people should not lie. That means old people should lie, middle-aged people should lie. Does he mean that? So those who set the guidelines, the lawmakers are the lawbreakers. Those who set the guidelines are the worst liars. I'll give you an example. A father tells a son, son, you should not speak a lie, you should always speak the truth. And then someone comes, maybe this father has borrowed money from someone, and that person comes to ask for the father. So the father hides in the room and tells the son, son, go and tell him that I am not at home. But a little while ago he has told the son not to tell a lie. So what does the son say? He goes to that fellow and tells, father said that he is not at home. So yeah, he hasn't spoken a lie, and he has also obeyed his father and gone and told this person that he is not at home. Father said father is not at home. So yes, we tell lies and we expect you all to be truthful. Is it always possible? But he says yes, lie, but do it in an artful manner, so that no one ever suspects that you are speaking a lie. That of course is putting it rather strong than necessary. Yes, this is more pressure than necessary. Yes, it's not necessary that you always have to tell a lie. You always have to tell the truth. Sorry. That Still, while I cannot go quite so far as that, I do maintain, and I believe I'm right, that the young people ought to be temperate in the use of the great art until practice and experience shall give them that confidence, elegance and precision which alone can make the accomplishment graceful and profitable. Again there is humor. He says that yes, I am right. The youth should not tell lies randomly. They should be moderate in their use. Unless they have mastered this art of telling lie in such a manner that they can present the lie with confidence, elegance and precision, so that no one will even suspect you, even to the smallest degree also. No one will have any suspicion regarding you that he is telling a lie. Not even 1% suspicion or doubt. And that needs mastery over the art of lying. Then only you can speak the lie with confidence. Many times you are telling a lie, but you are not confident, you are nervous and you get caught. So you should be able to tell the lie with confidence, elegance and precision in the right manner. Patience, diligence, painstaking attention to detail, these are requirements. These in time will make the student perfect. Upon these only may he rely as the future, as the sure foundation for future eminence. So what are the things he says the youth should cultivate? Patience, diligence means hard working, laboring, and painstaking attention to details. That means you should observe even the minutest details. And these are the requirements, and yes, it will help in the long run. It will help the students in the long run. Upon these only may he rely as the sure foundation. Yeah, in order to become eminent in future, these are the groundwork, these are the foundation. Think what tedious years of study through practice experience went to the equipment of that peerless old master who was able to impose upon the whole world the lofty and sounding maxim that truth is mighty and will prevail. So he reminds you of this maxim. What is the maxim? Truth is mighty. So the person who came up with this maxim, that peerless, unmatched old master who had come up with this truth, or this maxim that truth is mighty, that means truth is powerful and it will remain forever. Truth always wins in the long run. Honesty is the best policy. So these are the maxims. So the most majestic compound fracture of fact which any of woman born has yet achieved. So yes, everyone is born of woman only. Yes, in Macbeth you all will find born of woman and taken out from the mother through an operation. There is a little bit of difference. You all haven't proceeded in Macbeth to that place where the witch, one of the prophecies told to Macbeth is, no man born of woman can harm you, can cause you any harm, and Macbeth was very satisfied with it. But ultimately it so happened that Macduff, the Thane of Fife, he was not born of his mother, he was taken out from his, extracted from his mother through an operation, maybe the first cesarean. No, that was Julius Caesar, it was said. Anyway, in Macduff or Macbeth's time, cesareans were not heard of. So people could not think that how can a person be born, everyone has to be born from the mother. But he was taken out from the mother through an operation. And that was how Macbeth was fooled. So here anyway, so yes, truth is mighty and will prevail, but no man has yet achieved this. No man born of woman has yet achieved this. Yes, have you ever seen that truth is mighty, it is all powerful and it will prevail? It's not always the same. For the history of our race and each individual's experience are sown thick with evidences that the truth is not hard to kill. Yeah, it's not always that the truth will prevail. All of us, we have seen many times the truthful people, they are not believed and they have to suffer. They have to suffer countless countless sufferings. They have to experience countless sufferings because they are truthful. So it's not that always they will dominate, they will prevail. Honesty is not always the best policy. Many times you have to suffer so much because you are an honest person. So just see here also, every time he says a maxim or some advice, and then he puts a counter, something to counter it also. Like when he says, obey your parents, but he also counters it when they are present. And then, yes, tell a lie, but with confidence and precision and elegance. And here also he says, truth is not hard to kill. Yes, truth is mighty. This is the maxim. But Mark Twain puts examples. He shows through examples very nicely. He puts up examples in his advice and shows that truth is not always mighty. Truth is not hard to kill. And just see the example he gives. And that a lie well told is immortal. You can kill a truth, and a lie might remain immortal for years and centuries. Where the truth should be immortal, the lie becomes immortal. There have been instances. There is in Boston a monument of the man who discovered anesthesia. Anesthesia, you know, it is given to patients just before an operation so that they lose consciousness and the operation is carried out, because it's a very painful process and sometimes it is local anesthesia. That means he is aware of whatever is happening. He is not unconscious, but he cannot feel the pain. So the person who claimed that he discovered anesthesia, so there is a monument in his name, but now people have come to realize that he is not the real person who has discovered anesthesia. There is someone else, and he has stolen that. He has stolen this discovery from someone else and claimed it to be his. So here, a lie has become immortal, not the truth. The person who has really discovered it, his discovery has been stolen. So this is a lie. The man who has stolen it tells a lie, and this lie becomes immortal. But is this truth mighty, and will it prevail? So this truth is not mighty, and it will not prevail. Know, my hearers, the monument is made up of hardy material, but the lie it tells will outlast it 1,000,000 years. So the monument is made of hard material, but still if there is an earthquake or something, it will crumble down. But the lie about the person on whose name the monument has been built, that he is the founder or he is the discoverer of anesthesia, so this lie will remain for 1,000 or 1,000,000 of years. People will know him only, though it has been contradicted, but still, has any step been taken to remove his name from there and put the original name of the original person who had discovered? No step has been taken. So he still enjoys the reputation. An awkward, feeble, leaky lie is a thing which you ought to make it your unceasing study to avoid. So what should you avoid? Not a lie, but a weak lie. Avoid a lie which is not convincing, which you yourself are not convinced. Don't tell that type of lie. That is a weak lie. Such a lie as that has no more real permanence than an average truth. An average truth does not last for long. It does not have permanence. In the same way, a weak lie also will be lost after some time. So many times people say, if we go on telling a lie again and again and again, it becomes the truth. But he says, no, average truth, they don't prevail for long. In the same way, a weak lie also will not remain for long. Why? You might as well tell the truth at once and be done with. So instead of telling a weak lie, speak out the truth and finish it off. A feeble, stupid, preposterous lie will not live 2 years. Yeah, so it's very temporary. Except it be a slander upon somebody. But if it is telling a lie about somebody, telling something bad about somebody which is not the truth. Suppose a person is someone is not a dishonest person, and you go and tell, he is a dishonest person. I have seen him take bribes, which he hasn't done. But these type of lies, it will last. Otherwise, these weak lies don't last for long. But when the question of a person's reputation comes, it will remain for a long time. Why? Because we are always ready to believe, we are always ready to bring down the good name of a person. So we are ready to believe these lies. It is indestructible. This lie which slanders a person's reputation, this type of lie is a permanent lie. Though it is weak, but it will remain forever because we want to believe it. So there is no credit in the liars telling the lie. There is no credit, that is no credit of the person who tells the lie. You go and tell, I have seen this person with someone, he is cheating on his wife. So the whole world and even his wife will believe it. So, is that your credit? No. There is no credit in people believing it. Why? Because we are ready to believe something bad about others, and especially if the person is good. And we are ready to believe that yes, he must be cheating on his wife. And even the wife will believe. We are always ready to hear bad of others. So in this case, the lie which you have told and brought down his reputation, slandered his name, that in that type of lie there is no credit. No credit goes to you as a liar. A final word. Begin your practice of this gracious and beautiful art early. Begin now. So when does he suggest that you should start taking lessons in the art of telling lie? In your youth only. If you start it in your youth, then by the time you are a grown up person, you will mature in the art of telling lies. If I had begun earlier, I could have learned how. What a funny line. He says, as if he is repenting the fact, he is regretting, if only I had also begun. So I hadn't begun early in life. I started practicing lie at a later age. If only I had done, if I only had started lying at an early age, I could have mastered it in a much quicker time. So students, this is his advice. Students, start this gracious and beautiful art of telling lie from now onwards. The next advice is never handle firearms carelessly. So did you see how many lines he has devoted to the art of telling lie? Lie as an art. So nearly more than one page. Never handle firearms carelessly. So the students who hear it, they must be really amused. They will find it such an interesting lecture. Not a boring one, which they had thought it would be. Who's going to listen to advice? But now they are getting more and more focused on listening to what Mark Twain has to tell them. Never handle firearms carelessly. Firearms, symbolic of violence, the sorrow and suffering that have been caused through the innocent but heedless handling of firearms by the young. So many times, this handling of firearms in a careless fashion has resulted in a lot of harm. Only 4 days ago, right in the next farmhouse to the one where I am spending the summer. So he is spending his summer vacation in a farmhouse, and next to his farmhouse there is another farmhouse. And what happens there? A grandmother, old and grey and sweet. So a very sweet and lovely grandmother, one of the loveliest spirits in the land, was sitting at her work. So a grandmother, one of the, not those old and grumpy grandmothers, she was a very sweet grandmother, loveliest one. She was doing her work, and what did her grandson do? When her young grandson crept in and got down an old, battered, rusty gun. So the gun had not been in use for a long time. Gun which was in a bad condition and full of rust, which had not been touched for many years and was supposed not to be loaded. So he brought that gun from somewhere and pointed it at the grandmother. So imagine the plight of the grandmother. laughing and threatening to shoot. Granny, you move and I'll shoot. Granny, you move and I'll shoot. So he keeps on, and the poor old lady, she keeps on running. Just see what a shock and what an exertion he has caused her. In her fright, she ran screaming and pleading toward the door on the other side of the room. But as she passed him, he placed the gun almost against her very breast and pulled the trigger. Yeah, he pulls the trigger. But she must be waiting for the bullet to enter her body, but no, nothing really happened. But then all this shock, the fear, the terror which was created, that must have made her a wreck. That must have wrecked her nerves. So it is, in a way, it has caused a lot of harm. He had supposed it was not loaded. Yeah, he thought that it was not loaded, but was it loaded? No, it wasn't. And he was right, it wasn't. It wasn't loaded. He supposed it was not loaded, but the grandmother did not know. And to think how she had become frightened, she could have suffered a heart attack. Just think of the harm it had done. So never use firearms carelessly. This reminds me, I keep telling my online students also who take up class, that it had happened in my son's school. So he was in 7 or 8, and a boy had brought his father's service revolver to school. So careless of the father to keep it in that way, he was a police official, to keep it in that way that the boy gets access to it. And then he showed it to the whole class, and he told that if anyone troubles me, I will shoot. So you must have seen in one of these web series also, Arya, the boy was bullied by his seniors, and he had brought the pistol to school. So this boy also many years ago had done the same. And then the teacher came into the class, so he went to his bench, or rather desk, and his friend who was sitting next to him, so he was showing it to his friend, and the friend was with all curiosity watching him, and by mistake, he, while touching the trigger, it went off. It got pressed, and the bullet, it was a loaded revolver, and the bullet hit the boy who had brought the gun, whose father's gun it was. So what happened? There was a lot of hue and cry, the bullet sound, and then the boy lying in a pool of blood, and then police coming and taking the other boy into custody. It was fortunate that since it was from a very close range, the bullet, after it hit the body and then I think it refracted or something, anyway, it was not a fatal wound. So it didn't go inside, rather, there was injury of course, but not fatal injury. And to think of this, and the boy who had he was, you can't blame him for that. So he was freed. He had been taken first to the police custody, and then he was freed because he is just a victim of circumstances. So, and after that, what action did the school take? They rusticated or expelled both of them. So another boy gets punished for the fault of one, and the father should have been, I think the father lost his job or something, I don't remember, but there had been a lot of commotion regarding this. So I think he is right in saying that never handle firearms carelessly. So there wasn't any harm done. It is the only case of that kind. So in this case only, no harm was done because the gun was not loaded, but many times it happens. I told you the case there, the harm was done. The gun was loaded. The one which I told you about my son's school, in that case the harm was done. Therefore, just the same, don't you meddle with old unloaded firearms. Who knows? There might be a cartridge stuck somewhere. They are the most deadly and unerring things that have ever been created by man. So these guns, they don't ever go wrong. You don't have to take any pains at all with them. Don't bother yourself with these guns only. You don't have to have a rest. You don't have to have any sight on the gun. You don't have to take aim even. No, you just pick out a relative and bang away, and you're sure to get him. Yes, so you don't have to make much efforts. You just pick your relative with whom you want to settle a score, who has been a bit abusive and all that. How he compares the old gun with the new ones. What does he say? Yes, you don't have to make any effort with these old guns. They are the most unerring. That means they are the ones which are never to make a mistake. And you don't have to take a rest. You don't have to have any sights on the gun. You don't have to take aim. So you don't need to do anything. You don't need to take an aim. You don't need to take a rest. What do? You pick out a relative and bang away. You will surely get him. Those old guns. And then how he compares. A youth who can't hit a cathedral at 30 yards with a Gatling gun in 3/4 of an hour. Suppose you have a Gatling gun with you. With that, a young person maybe is trying to take an aim at a cathedral for the last 45 minutes, 3/4 of an hour, and he is unable to hit his target. But let him take up an old empty musket and bag his grandmother every time at 100, and he can, yes, aim. He doesn't need to even aim. He can hit his grandmother without much effort with that old gun. So in comparison to that, to the Gatling gun, these empty musket, old empty musket, and he can make his grandmother get the real horror of death. Think what Waterloo would have been, the famous Battle of Waterloo would have been if one of our armies had been boys armed with old muskets, supposed not to be loaded, and the other army had been composed of their female relations. The very thought of it makes one suffer. This is again a humor. Battle of Waterloo, one of the most famous victories won by English people. So he says, suppose the two armies, one army consists of young boys, they are fighting with old muskets, and the other army consists of their female relations like grandmother or old aunt or something. So yes, the young boys frightening their old relations, female relations, with a gun, and think the female relations will run away in terror. So without any battle fought, only without any bullet fired, you have won the battle. The very thought of it makes one shudder. So just think of it and you will tremble in fear. There are many sorts of books. Now he comes to the reading of books, good books. So there are many sorts of books, but good ones are the sort for the young to read. So young people should read good books. Remember that. They are a great and inestimable and unspeakable means of improvement. Yeah, I also agree with this. Totally agree with him. Good books. So there is something, some books are to be swallowed, some books are to be read, some to be swallowed, and some to be chewed and digested. So different books. So some books are not much of work, so you go on reading it very fast, swallowing, and the others which are of value, they are really good books. So these books are to be chewed and digested so that it goes within you, properly chewed. So he tells you to read these type of books. Good books are to be chewed and digested. Therefore be careful in your selection, my young friends. So what does he suggest his young friends? To be very selective in their To be very careful in their selection of books. And which are the books he suggests that the young people should read? Be very careful, confine yourselves exclusively. Now this is a joke. He is telling you that only read these books. No, he does. Rather, if you read Mark Twain's books also, he doesn't tell read my books. Which books are he telling? Robertson's sermons. Sermons, you find them in the church. The priest gives sermons as to how you should lead your life in a honest way and do this, do that, and all those sermons. Baxter's Saints Rest, The Innocents Abroad, and works of that kind. So why should he read only these books? That is what is expected. Society expects you to read these books, and he is being satirical on this. Why? Because he doesn't want the youth should be made to act in a way which society expects of them. Let them have their free life also. Let them enjoy their life. Be respectful towards elders, but to a certain point. Obey your parents, but to a certain point. And he gives the guidelines, but yes, at the same time he doesn't stop making fun also. So here he says only read these books. No, that is not the case. He is being sarcastic. This is a satire that society actually expects that they should read only these type of books. But I have said enough, and I hope you will treasure up the instructions which I have given you and make them a guide to your feet and a light to your understanding. This is also in a lighter vein. He is a humorous writer. If you have read any of his books, you will know what I mean. So yes, I hope you will treasure up my instructions, the instructions which I have given you. Why? Because wherever you go, they will guide you properly. They will be your guide, and they will also help you to understand better, a light to your understanding. And the last line is the best. Build your character thoughtfully and painstakingly upon these precepts. So what are the precepts? That obey your elders, wake up early, and respect your superiors, and tell lies, but with training. And regarding firearms, so build your character thoughtfully and painfully upon these precepts, the precepts or the guidelines which he has put before you. And by and by, when you have got it built, you will be surprised and gratified to see how nicely and sharply it resembles everybody else's. So you are not something unique. His advice has not, you will realize that you have not become any unique person because you have followed what Mark Twain has advised you all. You are just like any other youth. So through this he makes his advice or his lecture quite interesting and amusing to his readers. And even I am sure you must have liked it. This is not like those boring essays or the boring lectures which one gives. Oh, you should not do this and you should do this. It is far away from it. He tells you tell lies, but don't tell weak lies, rather avoid them. And tell lies only when you have mastered it. Lying is an art. Have you heard anyone say this? Lying is an art. So, how did you like it? I am sure you must have liked it well. So, this is where this comes to an end. So, you can also read the last paragraph of page 16, where it is written, advice to youth. When was it written? In 1882. And explores the fact that youth are being sculpted, that means they are being molded and shaped to society's standards. He feels that their uniqueness is being camouflaged and concealed by these standards and expectations. So every youth is unique, but they are being covered up, camouflaged. He takes this opportunity to evaluate society's standards and criticize authoritative figures that are thus shaping the young. So yes, the ones who had told him that which are the guidelines on these are the guidelines on which you should give your lectures to the youth. So he is criticizing them through his lecture. In this advice, his sarcasm is directed towards these authorities. The tone of the essay is satirical. What does satire mean? Satire is a form of literature which exposes the follies of societies in a humorous manner. So he is exposing the follies of society, but he does it not, he is not hard hitting, he does it in a humorous manner, and that is called satire. Twain plays on the initial assumption of the reader that the piece would be another boring life lesson by twisting it using satire and humor. So yes, initially the students must have thought it would be another boring lecture, but he twists this fact and makes him quite an interesting one with the help of satire and his humor. Through suggestions, innuendo and paradox, he presents just the opposite. Like, always obey your parents when they are present. When they are not, don't obey. It can imply this. And he makes a scathing comment on the standards set by a self-serving society and giving us considerable food for thought. So it makes us think, are we really giving the right advice to our students, to our young generation? Rather, we are molding them according to our expectation. And is this good? Is this really good? Because students, each one is unique in its own way, and let that person develop also in that own way, instead of putting limitations and expectation on that and forcing him into something which he doesn't wish. So yes, with this, the story or the advice or the lecture comes to an end, and I'm sure you have liked it. Bye all of you.